Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
What up, second hour in play. Nordo in for PA. And speaking of the host of 9 to noon, he joins us now from L.A., the host and the voice of the Minnesota Vikings. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Here we go. Tonight, got the boom at 7:15. Beautiful day in Southern California at this stage at what would be 8 a.m. And, sitting down with Kevin O'Connell last night for the pregame that people will hear right in front of the game tonight. He's in a very calm, confident place, where I hadn't talked to him much this week because of the short week. And when you and I were at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, we had Kwesi Adofo-Mensah on Tuesday. So I haven't really seen Kevin that much this week. And we taped the pregame last night, man. I thought he might be a little agitated, McVay and, SoFi and stuff like that. But he's in a really calm, comfortable place. I think he feels like he has a plan put together. He's going to roll up 30 on somebody.
Well, and that's one of the impressive things that we've seen with Kevin now into his third season, right? Is, the culture building that we've talked about and the personality of the coach. Ultimately, you want players to be the leaders. You want players to define what you're seeing out there on the field. But the coach in a spot where it was heavyweight fight against a division foe, you couldn't be more irritated about some aspects of the game and how they went. You lose the game. And on a short week, you're facing your former mentor and good friend in some respects. I feel like O'Connell, he's shown us his ability to kind of shake some of that stuff off and stay level throughout.
Perfectly stated. Now, I can tell you one thing that he does think is going to be weird tonight is, and maybe a reporter or something has tweeted this and I missed it or whatever, but this is going to be Kevin's first trip to SoFi since the Super Bowl. I mean, he has not been to the building or by the building for anything. And, we chatted about that a little bit in the pregame chat that you'll hear tonight. He's never been to the visitors' locker room. And it's all business, man. It is all business with him and this team. And, there is one that, when we were mashing on the game calling depth chart yesterday and you and I just talking this thing out like we do publicly, that there is one thing that I overlooked that now that I've gotten the entire process put together for the game tonight, that just kind of weirds me out. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now just let this hit you authentically, okay? Because we certainly hope everybody listens to the game on KFAN, syncs it up with the TV or whatever. But realistically speaking, the majority of people watch games and listen to the TV audio, and ain't nobody offended by that. So why I bring that up is because you got Sean McVay, okay, a polarizing coach. 2017, age 31, youngest coach of the year in the history of the NFL, gets his team to the Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl. So therefore, he's kind of he's kind of the A topic for what they're going to be showing on TV and stuff like that during the course of the game, when it comes to building things up. And here's the weird part. It just weirds me out because I just don't want to be on the other side of history, is if the Rams win tonight, Sean McVay becomes the winningest coach in the history of Rams football, passing John Robinson with 80 wins.
Oh, come on.
It's just, you see what I'm saying? It's just, I envision if it's a tight game, you're going to see a lot of camera shots of Sean, and you got Al and Kirk or whomever calls the games on Thursday being like, John Robinson did this and George Allen did this, and there are a lot of great Rams coaches and teams over the years, and this guy, if he wins tonight, he's the winningest coach in the history of Rams football. And I didn't know that was a thing until I got on the plane yesterday, and I just can't stop thinking about it.
So we're going all the way back effectively to the 30s. And written in history will be the moment that Sean McVay passed all of them, and on the L side of things, in the L column, is going to be our favorite guy. That just can't happen.
See, that's why I can't stop thinking about it, because when things like this happen, somebody becomes the winningest of all time with whatever, or Eric Nordquist, Dan Marino, Roger Staubach, Fran Tarkenton, they just set this record that is ballyhooed and big and it's historical. Those things always happen on TV. Those things always happen on like national TV.
Yeah.
So I know it's just a team. It's not the league. But, I mean, that's quite the accomplishment to start in 2017. Here we are, 2024. And to already have a chance, he's going to become the winningest coach in the history of Rams football one of these days. I just hope it's not tonight. So, like, the camera shots aren't always on McVay talking about that thing.
So now we got reason to believe. We got reason to get agitated. Now he can be cool and calm and collected. I'm going to get agitated. Do you think, as part of this PA, that does this turn into a look what I can do contest in some ways at some point, like a big JJ game, and it's two people in a chess match, almost just to see who can outdo one another throughout this one?
I love the angle, and I say yes simply because that's just how human nature works, man. It can be a short week, but I mean, if it's O'Connell going against the former boss against the former offensive coordinator. The former offensive coordinator is running up big numbers this year, and he has, with all due respect to Cooper Kupp, he with Jefferson and Addison, and then Jones in the backfield. That kind of offsets Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp. I heard you say he's playing tonight.
Yeah.
When you were previewing the feast, but then after that, they got a little bit of a void. I think it's a super, super long shot. Puka Nacua plays tonight. They made him limited in practice this week, and they listed him questionable. I mean, seriously, man, he just got out there and started running around. So, but you know what? Maybe he's a lot more ready than anybody thinks. And McVay has crafted this thing where I'm going to get Kupp and Nacua for this Thursday game, not because it's a game we have to win from 2-4. Sure, that matters. But it's against my guy.
Right.
I mean, it's against my guy and Wade Phillips' kid Wes. He's over there, and Brandon Powell. The last punt return the LA Rams had for a touchdown was in 2021 at US Bank Stadium. It was when Brandon Powell played for the Rams, and he got us for 61. So there are just a lot of ancillary little things in this game. But I love your question because it kind of common threads into what we talked about just like 6 days ago, since it's such a short week. Is I wasn't looking at last week as like O'Connell against Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator for the Lions. It was like O'Connell against Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator Lions, and Ben Johnson against Kevin. Not more as much so as against Flores, because they're just so good at what they do. And like Ben does this, and O'Connell's like, okay, watch this. And then Ben's like, cool, Kevin, watch this. And we saw a lot of that in the second half. I think it's going to be a lot of that tonight with O'Connell and McVay, and I know they both got a lot of tricks up their sleeves.
You're talking about Cooper being back, and that's a problem. And I was, part of my bit today was I've been trying to figure out what the Rams excel at. But then you start putting the injuries into the mix and all of that, and understand that they're trying to win games with Jordan Whittington, who's out of the mix, Tutu Atwell trying to make that a thing, Tyler Johnson, Sky Umad, DeMarcus Robinson, all of those things, and how quickly that can change simply by putting one name into the mix. Colby Parkinson's not blowing people away. He can be productive in all of those things, but how big is it just to have that one name back in the mix for a team that, again, I've been struggling to find what they do really well, and maybe Cooper can change all of that conversation just by being available.
Well, I think having Cooper back, that's a great road to go down right there, because into the season, O'Connell said it or Flores said it. We want to play a lot more man defense. We believe with our pass rush, and they have a lot of sacks, and they lead the NFL in interceptions with 11. So, we believe our rush is going to get home quickly enough so that Griffin, Gilmore, and or Murphy can play man and hang with guys long enough. Now, you and I are not of the analytical metrics bent when it comes to football. Neither one of us follow Pro Football Focus.
True. But
that there is a metric out there. There is a stat that I think's from like Pro Football Focus or something, where I think the Vikings are playing either the least amount of man-to-man defense with their corners or like bottom three. So it's like completely opposite of what I and we thought it would be into the season.
Yeah.
So it's a conversation for another time as to why they're doing that. But if they, I don't know what they're going to do against Cooper tonight because he's a handful, obviously. But if they have to commit too many people to figure out what Kupp is doing, well, that 3.8 yards per carry for Kyren Williams, that's going to go through the roof. Because with Kyren, he's a fantasy football player's best friend with the 8 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving. All right, that's going to win you a lot of fantasy football weekends. But fantasy football players, if they get deep in the weeds on him, he goes down on the first hit a lot, and he's averaging fewer than 4 yards a carry. That ain't great. That's because, he has a nose for the end zone and he catches it really well, but he's not the kind that's going to run you over or run away from you. Well, that's probably because defenses aren't having to look at those receivers, not named Cooper Kupp, as strictly and sternly as they will tonight.
Yeah.
So I think it might open things a little bit for Kyren Williams. And but when it comes to what do they do really well, that's a brilliant question because the Florida State kids, and we said their names, yesterday or when we were at TCOPC, Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. They're first and second round picks from Florida State. They're rookies, and they got some decent stats. But I had a lot of time on that airplane to either talk to people or look at a lot of stuff. Fisk and Verse are players, so they hit on 2. I'm just telling you right now. And they're getting better game by game. Then you put the Kobe Turner bit in there. That threesome right there is becoming the identity, not only of their defense, but kind of their football team, unless Cooper Kupp starts playing games. So just be mindful of that tonight. They're down Troy Reeder, who was playing with his hair on fire, a linebacker. They got some problems at linebacker tonight, DeCon. And with that, I think their green dot guy, they're still trying to figure that out, at least according to a story I read last night. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a massive game tonight. I think Aaron is going to cut loose with one of those big games that he's had in the past. We haven't really seen this year, despite the 3 touchdowns. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a really, really good game tonight.
You mentioned, and obviously there are 2 people, if we're looking at the injury report, who's in, who's out, 2 people from our side that people have been focused on. Now, Blake Cashman, he's going to miss his second game, and hopefully if there were miscommunications defensively that even though it's a short week, that Flores has been able to figure out. But you mentioned Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. I mean, this Dalton Reisner thing, man, he's a full participant in practice. He apparently is 100%, and they throw a questionable tag on him. What's up with Dalton? Is he still chilling on a Thursday night in L.A.?
It's a wonderful question. He's listed as questionable. All right, so I don't know if we're playing games here. I certainly wouldn't suggest chicanery with the injury report. But when I say playing games, it's, unless you've got moles within the building and you're the Rams, and so you know exactly what's happening. And if that's the case, shame on those people with the Vikings, and they should be fired. When you go practice full, all right, well, the other side's supposed to think, okay, well, yeah, I see what you're doing here. Here we go. But when it goes full, questionable, well, that I don't think he's going to play. I mean, because Reisner I'm talking about.
Yep.
Because I don't know why you're going to put that questionable thing at the end if you go full. But these aren't real practices during the course of the week. They're not the normal types of practices, especially when you travel. If you look at social media with the Rams yesterday, I mean, they're out there on the field lollygagging. It's sunny. It's beautiful Southern California. They're practicing, playing catch and stuff like that. And we're on a plane. So the road team is really at a disadvantage in so many ways in these Thursday night football games from a practice standpoint. But if you had asked me this yesterday, I probably would have said, yeah, I think they might be sliding Reisner in there. I'm on the other side now, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when they put questionable on Dalton, that just kind of threw me off.
Time for a couple of more for you here, Vox, and I appreciate this again. Have you dipped your toes in the waters of the Pacific Ocean since you got there?
Rob, they're in it right now.
Oh, come on.
No, not Pacific Ocean. No, it's the pool at the hotel in Marina Del Rey.
Okay.
It's a heated pool, and I refuse to take my shirt off at this stage of the equation because there are too many windows that are open at the hotel looking down here.
Fair decision. There's no doubt about that. And SoFi to the beach. I guess I don't know how closely you guys are staying, but is that a massive Uber?
No.
No, it's not. Okay.
We where we're staying, we're 1 mile from Venice Beach. So if
sweet.
I didn't think old people would get tired and like out of breath while doing this interview, walking a mile to Venice Beach, I would have done it that way. But old people didn't want to pant on your radio show and like have to stop. So I just stayed here by the pool to do the interview, and then Spearfish Sammy and I we're going to walk down to Venice Beach here and get some breakfast, dip our toes in the Pacific Ocean, wax nostalgic for a little bit, and then come back and get on a bus at like 1:30 Pacific.
No, Venice Beach is sweet. If you see a Jamaican guy rollerblading while playing Bob Marley songs with an amp strapped to his back, you have to take a picture of him, because I've been there 2 or 3 times, and that guy's been there every time. Speaking of every time,
I might have seen that guy 3 times last night, and I had to deny him 3 times because I'm like, Rob, I understand what's happening here, but I need to save my voice for tomorrow night. Okay, so just get out of just go the other way.
Hey, Kevin O'Connell mentioned it in his presser, and it's not every time, but the last couple of weeks in particular, the coach, and I loved how you put it, kind of the idea of if a coach is mentioning something almost in passing, almost in fleeting manner, then it might be eating him a little bit more so internally, or how it's been discussed or approached internally. And his term was self-inflicted. The Rams are the lowest penalized team in the NFLPA. Kevin O'Connell has mentioned self-inflicted. Like, it drives him nuts. This can't be part of the story tonight, right? Like, think that, on a short week, you're cool and calm and collected. We need to see as little laundry on the field as possible.
Yeah, agreed. And it's not just last game. There have been some penalties that have either been en masse or they popped up at just the wrong times of games the last few games. And I was really shocked the way it happened last game, because Clay Martin's staff, they call 11.5 penalties a game, 12 fewest in the NFL, and shoot, both teams were there near the end of the first quarter. So that game was antithetical to the way the officiating staff calls things, which I'm hoping takes place tonight, because the referee is Trey Blake, and the last time we had him was when the Vikings played the Indianapolis Colts. We were down 33 at halftime, and Blake was just messing up call after call. He couldn't get his microphone to work. It was a complete clown show. So I'm hoping it's antithetical to who he is the last time we saw him, and he channels his inner Bernie Kukar and just calls a good, fair game. Then I don't think there'd be a lot of penalties.
One what? I mean, Trey Blake can't even work a mic. Seriously, I mean, this is embarrassing.
See, I went long. See, that's the Hall and Oates you and I have, the one in the 1A. The fact that I went long-winded on that purposely, knowing you would go looking for it to stamp the bid at the end. That's perfect, man.
You knew exactly what I was doing. TJ Hawkinson in his recovery, and he's also questionable. Is this, is he 100% and they're just kind of on the chill? They're trying to be cautious. It's a knee. We need him for the long run, all that. Kind of the same way we talked about Aaron Jones when he got hurt in London. If he needs some time off, it's cool because we need him for the long haul. With TJ, the difference he makes if he plays, or maybe the element of just looking forward to a Colts game a week from Sunday.
Well, with Hawkinson, hey, there's Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. Fitzmagic's over there with that big-ass beard. All right, 3-2. It's going to be one of two things tonight with TJ. It's either going to be the situation I've always felt it was going to be, that he was going to play in the Indianapolis game.
Yep.
Okay, that was going to be his debut. It's either going to be that, or he's going to go for 8 and 170-2. My work is done. Yours has just begun.
Hey, thanks as always, man. Enjoy the day out there. Check out Venice Beach, and we'll talk to you down the line tonight, all right?
I'll go look for your Jamaican friend, man, but I ain't smuggling anything back for you, okay? I still like these jobs.
That's fair. All right, see you, man. That's Paul Allen, host of 9 to Noon, voice of the Vikings, and he's down there. He's getting pumped. You can tell the water with the lemon, the water with the honey. I'm not sure exactly which combo he rolls with, but he's about ready for kickoff tonight at 7:15. And that's where we're at, kind of on a couple of those talkers. And we're going to do some Vikes Bites next segment, and then jump back out to L.A. with Ben Leber. The whole radio crew is joining me today from Los Angeles. It's sweet. Pete Bursich is going to be around 11:35. But Vikes Bites, I mean, the common questions. Somebody actually texted me about 20 minutes ago asking me, hey, is TJ Hawkinson going to play tonight? And I kind of lend to the idea of it's either going to be he's immediately in tonight and he is featured. And it's Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson from a target and an action standpoint, 1 and 1A, or it's going to be the up to game time decision and then he's just out of the mix, at least for this week. Although, watching things, and I know Josh Oliver ultimately, he had a wrist thing and he's been a full participant the rest of the week. So, how much does that play into it? But between him and Dalton Reisner, from a health standpoint, we know Cashman's out of the mix, but how do they handle that? And the bit with Ed Ingram, and I've seen, it's always on Ed, right? Every problem is on Ed. That's not true. But there are glaring issues there, specifically with the Minnesota Moving Company. It needs to get better. That's been a problem spot, and Reisner is healthy. So how do they play that? And does the short week matter? Are they going to... is that the absolute plan that they immediately just plug and play? Or now that he's healthy, it's just a competitive standpoint, and we can talk about this a week from now in front of the Colts game on Sunday night. So, but this game, it's so fascinating in terms of how McVay handles it against his guy, Kevin O'Connell against his guy, two that know each other incredibly well. The first time that Kevin O'Connell's been back in that building since confetti was falling and they were hoisting a Lombardi. This is an amazing one, but a bounce-back opportunity for the Vikings. None of these games against the Rams have been easy this year, save for that blowout, I think, against the Cardinals. Each one of these things, one-score slogfests, and McVay is so damn good. He's figured out how to do it without Puka, how to do it without Cooper. That's why I framed it up. What do the Rams excel at? Because statistically, if you're just chasing box scores, that's a very difficult answer to make. How much of a big difference is Cooper himself just being back on the field? It's massive. These kids that they have on defense, these young guys, Jared Verse is ascending. Kobe Turner in his second year is fantastic. Braden Fisk, he's got a back thing, so we'll see if he's even going to go tonight. But I would expect him to be in the mix. He's been making plays. So this is going to be an absolute meat grinder of a game. And a chess match indeed between McVay and O'Connell. I can't wait. But we're going to do some Vikes Bites around the corner and actually continue the conversation. Text messages, 64686, Brad, Sean, Bryant, KFAN text messages. We appreciate all of them. Keep them coming. And Max, I appreciate the fact that he wants to give away money every single hour. Why don't you take care of that, Max?
Absolutely. We want to make it rain. The Fan and 2 Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword money. That's easy. At KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword money. Enter it now at KFAN.com. Raise a glass for Ron White's return to the island. From hilarious childhood stories to witty tales about life now, you'll laugh along to it all when he takes the stage at Treasure Island on Saturday, April 19th. Tickets are on sale right now, and you can get yours at TICasino.com.
Some text messages before we jump to Vikes Bites. My concern is Stafford and McVay are similar to Goff and Johnson. Hopefully their offensive line doesn't play as well as Detroit's did. Not worried about our team scoring points. Yeah, Brian and Iowa. Yeah, the offensive line that we faced against the Lions was, I mean, that might be the best O-line that we see all season long. Still, the pressures were there. It felt like as part of that, as good and as connected as they are, that Grenard and company, Van Ginkel, I mean, just pick a guy off that Vikings defensive front on the roster and just say, here's a play where he was within a fingertip of grabbing that jersey on Goff, and Goff was terrific in the pocket. super savvy, shook off a tackler on one particular play that I remember, and I think it was a touchdown. But the offensive line that we're facing tonight, Joe Noteboom, is not in the mix. And you're looking at a squad, Havenstein, the wily veteran there, very good. But other than that, the 6th-round rookie they're starting at center, Alaric Johnson, I can't speak to what they think about him. Logan Bruss at the left guard spot. Kevin Dotson, this is not jumping off the page. This is a lower quality offensive line. Totally get what the point you're trying to make, Brian. But I think this is the type of game, and we did it a few times when Stafford was in Detroit. This is an opportunity to feast on him. I'm pretty sure the Vikings set a team record, and Daniil had like 3.5 in a game, like 10 or 10.5. I think we sacked Stafford 10 times in a game against the Kitties several years ago, and Daniil had 3.5 in a game. I'm not coming out here trying to put the Vikings on 10 sacks tonight, but I think this is a game where we can get to Matt, and that'll be part of how McVay adjusts to it. Another text message. I have a question. What is turf toe exactly, and why does it keep a player out so long? I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm sorry. I can't fully answer that. I know, picture when if you were in the blocks ready to sprint, and you got your leg back, and your toe on the ground, and you're just digging in. Picture that big toe bending upward in that vein. So it's some sort of sprain between the foot and the toe. That's all I know. And that it hurts a lot. So picture trying to be a pro athlete and cut and dig in and sprint and run, and your toe just doesn't have it. Yeah, so that's Medical Minute, 9 to noon. Dr. Nord's explaining what turf toe is. It hurts a lot. And, people underrate the big toe. They think the big toe, what purpose does the big toe have? It's important. And Blake Cashman's big toe is hurting badly right now. Let's do some Vikes Bites, which is brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. And you can shop online, thousandhillslifetimegrazed.com. You can go to local Coburn's locations, local co-ops. And, of course, they are the sponsor of Golden Gophers Athletics. So we love the Clearwater, Minnesota-based Thousand Hills. We got some Vikes Bites, I think. Vikes Bites!
Vikes Bites! We do indeed. And since you were just talking about injuries, let's do a little bit of an injury update. You mentioned it. Blake Cashman is out for the second straight week as he continues to heal from his toe injury. Caleb Evans, TJ Hawkinson, and Dalton Reisner are all listed as questionable for the Minnesota Vikings tonight. And on the Rams side, Cooper Kupp is expected back in L.A. And as of this morning, our guy Tom Pelissero is saying there is optimism that Puka Nacua could return as well. One little side note on the Cooper Kupp return is it could be his last game in L.A. as trade rumors continue to swirl around the veteran wide receiver.
Yeah, I was also asked via the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. Well, I'll get to that momentarily. I'm kind of I would like to see TJ tonight. If TJ's 100%, let's unleash TJ. I need to see that back in the mix. And, they're completely different players, and Johnny Munt's going to do the best that he can to fill in spots. And Josh Oliver, other than early on, he had that super nice catch. I think it was like a 22, 25-yarder against the Giants right down the middle of the field. We just haven't seen a lot of that this year and a lot of explosion from tight ends. And you're going to get a 1-yard catch by Johnny Munt, and he's going to turn it into 3 yards. But TJ can turn the 1-yard catch into 20 yards. We want that. We need that. And we need something to take the heat off of Justin Jefferson. He's getting 2 fewer targets a game, and that's going to be defenses adjusting as well. But this is something that absolutely is a focus in terms of creating explosives. Let's use the coach's terminology. I need more out of JJ, and I'm not. And again, that's not an indictment on JJ, but I think that TJ adds an element offensively that allows us to fully open the playbook and a full go. And Jordan Addison has a right to bounce back after a game that was filled with penalties and mental miscues. And you heard it from JJ himself, just kind of trying to bring him along in some respects. That was an interesting piece of audio that we played yesterday, 9 to noon. Addison has a right to be better tonight. He was also, good times, bad times. He also ran a terrific route and had that 50-yard completion late in the Lions game. So we need the kid to be good. But I'm kind of leaning towards them. It sounds like everybody's on the idea that it's going to be the Colts game. Reisner, and I got a text about it too. Ed Ingram just hasn't been good enough. And as I ended last segment, the thing with Reisner is, first, we all kind of felt like when he came back that he was going to be, it was anointed that he was going to be the left guard. And then that doesn't happen. And Brandel really owns that left guard spot. He's done some practicing and some things at right guard, although most of Reisner's career has been on the left side of things. But Ed Ingram has not been good. And so at this point, is it because it's a short week? Do you wait until the Colts game for that? I don't have an answer to that. But for TJ, I think we're going to be waiting for him. Puka, I don't believe Puka's going to play. That'd be unbelievable if he did. I don't want him to play. I'm not rooting for injury, but just take another game. Just take another game, Puka, and come back 100%. Right. But for Cooper Kupp, if it is his last game, could it be he gets on the plane and flies home with the Minnesota Vikings?
Oh, let's go.
All the rumors about Matt Stafford and Florio and PA did their thing yesterday on this whole thing and got to trade Stafford. There's no chance the Vikings could advance deep in the playoffs. Stafford's the missing link. It's obvious, and they've been talking about it. Who knows? I don't think that it's going to happen. I'm very confident, in fact, that I don't believe that it's going to happen. And additionally, if there is some sort of move, I personally believe that it's better than a coin flip chance that it would be for a defender, whether it's a corner, if it's a fat guy in the middle. And without knowing everything about the names I'm seeing on the Rams depth chart, I don't see that link. I don't see that connection there. But I do think it's better than the coin flip's chance that between the trade deadline and today that the Vikings make some sort of move. Is it going to be splashy? Is it going to be earth-shattering? I think it would be closer to what we saw with the Cam Akers trade than something that is earth-shattering and splashy. But I do feel there's a better chance than not that the general manager is putting the numbers together right now, making those phone calls, and trying to effort something. But Cooper Kupp, he's going to be one of the hotter commodities on the trade market. We've already seen Amari Cooper move. This team at 2-4, especially if they lose tonight, the Rams, they might be in that mode where it's time to collect some chips and time to collect some draft equity, something that we're just starting to finally have again. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if that happens if the Rams lose tonight. If they win tonight, how do they handle it? They get through. They're a 3-4 team. They got through a gauntlet without two of their big timers. They got a young defense that is getting better every week. I wonder how that changes things. Maybe there's something that's hinging on the result of tonight's game. You got one more?
I do indeed. Vikes Bites! Everyone here in Minnesota, we all know the Vikings' MO has kind of been these fast starts, and I'd expect another one if the statistics are to be believed, because the Rams, Nordo, are 31st in the NFL in first quarter points at just 1 point per game, only ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles, who have yet to score in the first quarter. And as you can predict, the Minnesota Vikings are number 1 in the league with 9.7 points per game in the first quarter. So expect another fast start for your Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I believe, and additionally, I think the disparity is the Vikings have outscored their opponents like 58-3 in the first quarters of games this year.
And the 3 was just from that CJ Ham fumble.
Yeah, correct. They still rip CJ about it in the locker room. You know that
for sure.
No, this team starts fast. That's the MO of this team. And Sam's absolutely, he's got like a $137, something like that passer rating in the first quarter of games. It's a 70 in the fourth quarter. Oof, got to change that. But this team starts fast, and this team builds massive advantages. And last week was the first time in which they set that double-digit lead in the first, and Ben Johnson's crew was like, okay, that's fine. Let us go to work. And they were one of the best second-quarter teams in the NFL, and they rattle off 4 straight touchdown drives. The Rams, McVay and Stafford and Cooper, et cetera, I have a hard time seeing them with that kind of firepower. I don't believe in it, and if I'm wrong, then that's going to be bad for this team tonight. But this is a game where the massive advantages, the fast starts, this is the type of situation where I'm not saying the Rams are going to quit. I don't believe that at all. But this is where you can set that lead, you can start to dictate things, and you can start to lean on them a little bit, and you can walk out of there with a with a victory. Aaron Jones in this game, if PA is accurate, this is a team that's been just absolutely bleeding against the run the Rams have. If Aaron Jones can have one of those games, this one's going to be over early, and it's going to be awesome. Thank you for those Vikes Bites. We're going to continue to jump on the purple, of course, into the final hour. Pete Bursich, final segment of the show. And next, because Ben Leber is chiming in from L.A., we're going to chat with him around the corner, 9 to noon. Back out to L.A. we go. At Nacho Leber on the X Machine, weekly guest 9 to noon, sideline analyst, Vikings Radio Network. And a weekly guest, by the way, brought to you by Maple Grove Lock and Safe. How you doing, Ben?
Nordo, I'm doing great, man. I just saw Chris Hockey, and we were just talking about how wonderful last night's sleep was. I don't know what it is. Like the beds, the rooms come with their own individual sound machines. I mean, come on.
Oh, are you kidding me with that?
It was the best.
Well, I got up 3 times in the middle of the night with the baby. So, I mean, I guess, we all have different sleep patterns and different outlooks on life and all of those things. So with this game tonight, now I'm just jealous about the sound machine. Now you got me, threw the whole thing off. Ben, I got a text about 15, 20 minutes ago. You played in the NFL. How tough is it to play with turf toe?
It's hard, man. You know what? I don't think I've ever really had turf toe. I know what it is. I know how debilitating it can be. And you just think about that big toe joint, the big joint in your big toe. When you sprain that ligament and you damage that, and you think about trying to do anything as you walk, let alone trying to move laterally, it's almost impossible. Like you don't have your base, you don't have your foundation, you don't have your strength. And, that was a very similar injury. It doesn't sound like certainly to the severity, but when I was playing with E.J. Henderson, he blew out his big toe, I believe, against the Tennessee Titans. We were on the road. And he's like, man, this does not feel right. He's like, I don't know what's going on. And he was telling me what was going on, and we talked about it. And he's like, went back to the locker room, and he's like, I'm out. I'm like, what? You're out? He's like, yeah. He's like, I think I just blew my freaking toe joint out. So anyway, he had to have surgery. It was a big deal. And we kind of scoff at maybe the name of it, but it can really set you back.
What is the most intriguing element of today's game? I had PA on earlier. We're talking about it's McVay versus O'Connell. We all know about the tough loss to the Kitties and all the things that go into it, but just kind of 10,000-foot view at SoFi tonight. What's the most intriguing aspect of the Vikings trying to bounce back after their first loss and the Rams really trying to preserve some sort of momentum in the 2024 season?
I'm looking at a couple things, based off the last game for the Vikings defense. Is like, can we affect the passing game? The Lions did a great job of pre-snap understanding where we're blitzing from. They did a great job blocking us up. They gave Jared Goff a bunch of time to throw, specifically over the middle of the field, which a lot of teams have been kind of exploiting us with. So, and I heard you earlier, like we historically we hammer Matthew Stafford. I mean, there's just something about a Vikings defense, regardless of who's coordinating it, that we just have a tendency to get after him and get a lot of hits and sacks on him. And really that's no different, this year. He's been hit 42 times in the games played so far. He's been sacked 17 times. So, I want to see if we can bounce back, get back to the aggressive and effective blitzing defense that we're known for, and really get after their passing game. Their offensive line has been, a little bit of a revolving door at left guard. They've got a center that they're starting as a rookie, and so I really think that our blitzes can be effective, our twists and our stunts up front can be effective, even just on a 4-man rush. I'm just looking for our guys on defense to eat a little bit, and then I know you guys have talked a little bit about it as well, but our ability to run the football. I see this as a game that I don't think that Sam Darnold's going to have to do too much. I don't think we have to throw the ball a lot. I think that we can we can own the line of scrimmage. We can mash these guys at the line of scrimmage, push them back, especially with the injuries that they may have up front. And I really think that this can be a game where we just have, we could rush for 180 yards on these guys, it seems like. So I'm looking for a big rushing attack from our offense.
Well, and that's one thing I was thinking of earlier, though. Is there any element to this with McVay and O'Connell that you think about where it could be kind of a look at me, do this type of thing where it becomes a one-up? Because I also, as in speaking out of both sides of my mouth, I think that this should be an absolute ground and pound type of game and just wear them into dust. But then I also say, well, Thursday Night Lights, it's against his old head coach. Let's get a big game out of JJ. And then the conversation about TJ Hawkinson potentially being back in the mix, not counting on it. But is there something where Kevin might have to fight against, I guess, his own tendencies to really let Aaron Jones do his thing tonight?
It's possible. It's possible. You've got two buddies that are just going to go toe-to-toe on the play calling, but I sort of look at it, and we all know that KOC is a pretty sensible guy, that I don't think that he's going to get caught up in that. And really, honestly, what's a better flex? Coming up with some really creative plays that may or may not work, and then, maybe you don't even look, McVay doesn't even really understand the complexity of the play until he reviews it the next day on film. Or you've got your running back that's hitting his head on the goalpost every time, and we're scoring 35 points on the ground. It's like, I think, me personally, that's more of a flex. Like, I just built a really physical football team. Oh, and by the way, we've got Justin Jefferson, and we can do all the things that you guys do at Cooper Kupp, and we can get him open. We've proven that. They'll probably do it a little bit in this game, but I don't think it's going to be so much of an aerial attack where, they got to go toe-to-toe. We've got to assert each other's dominance in the passing game. I think the bigger flex is I built a passing offense that can be creative, and also I've got an offensive line and a running back that can smash you right in the mouth for 60 minutes.
I love that. That's Ben Leber, and he's brought to you weekly by Maple Grove Lock and Safe. Back to the defense momentarily. Kyron Williams, a lot of rushing touchdowns, not necessarily explosive if you're just digging into the stats, although it sounds like the Rams, one of the more efficient run games overall in the NFL. When you watched what you saw on Sunday against the Lions, and it became really an onslaught, and it was pretty artful from Ben Johnson in that offense. But you see the tandem of Gibbs and Montgomery, they get loose, and this was really the first time, in part because of game flow, massive leads established, that the Vikings were up against it from the opponent's run game, for instance. Is that a harbinger? Is that an omen in terms of some things that need to be cleaned up against the run, or can you just say that, we gave up or for the first time bled yards on the ground because of what they were doing through the air?
I think it just comes down to the offensive line. I just think that the Lions' offensive line is far superior than what I've seen from the Rams' offensive line. And I just don't think that they could run the exact same play in the same plays that the Lions try to run. And this is a copycat league. We talk about that all the time, that they might take five run schemes and say, we're going to try to do the same thing. I just don't think they can execute it the same way. They're not built the same. They don't have the same level of talent up front. So I think they can try, but let's give our, over the course of the season, let's give our defensive front a lot of credit. We're really, really good at stopping the run up front. And I think the Rams are going to try to establish a run game. They just have to. That's just part of the whole balance thing. But I just don't see them having a lot of success because I don't think they can get to the second level. I don't think they can double team and push our guys up front and leverage our guys up front up to the second level, even with Cashman out. I just don't see it. So try as they may, I think the best thing that we can do from a run defense standpoint, as far as like stats go, you mentioned the touchdowns, is just keep them out of the red zone. Don't let them get in the red zone where they can use that efficiency in the run game to kind of mash you into the goal line. But I think in the field of play, I think we won't have much of a problem stopping the run game. I
referenced a couple of times your interview with Shaq Griffin after the game, talking about some miscommunications on defense. Do you think now, and Blake Cashman wearing the green dot and all of that, do you think that that's something that now we're a game removed. We know we don't have Blake in the mix, that there's something that could be cleaned up there from Flores' standpoint?
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of times what happens on these shortened weeks is there is a little bit of a simplification on both sides of the ball. And especially defensively, if what Shaq was saying was correct, even when they went back and watched the film and they said like, oh yeah, maybe we were doing too much. We were getting caught up too much in the weeds of specific personnel and which guys were on the field and which guys weren't, and what were we going to do to adjust our coverages with this guy in the field and this guy not. If they were trying to get too cute with the defense and it kind of burned them a little bit, I think all of that's going to be wiped away on a shortened week, especially against an offense that basically they practice against every single day in the off season. This is not a scheme that they're going to be unfamiliar with. Yeah. Of course, you're going to have Cooper Kupp identity. That identifier is going to be number one. As much as we all know the story of Justin Jefferson. When KOC got to the team, Justin asked him, "How did you do it? How do you get Cooper Kupp open all the time?" Like Cooper Kupp is Justin's muse. I mean, that's what he wanted to mold himself as far as getting open all the time in this offense. Dude, they see that all the time. So I don't think you look at the best case scenario for a defense on a shortened week to get ready for a team. Well, this is probably it. A team that is not amazing at running the football. They run the same schemes that your own offense runs. And you're coming off a game where you got to make some adjustments in the back end where you got to simplify. So I think this is shaping up to be a pretty good matchup for our defense.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. In the end, you feeling good about a Vikings victory tonight, Ben?
Yeah, I don't want to sound overconfident, but I do. I mean, I see a situation where we win by 2 touchdowns, and it never really feels like a game that was ever out of control. I feel like we proved a lot about ourselves last week that we can go toe-to-toe with one of the best, and we felt like we left a lot of plays out there. I think our guys are hungry. Based on what I saw in the locker room when I was in there, talking to Shaq and other guys, guys were upset. They were not taking that loss lightly, and that's a good thing. They really felt like they let that game slip through their fingers. So I think they're going to come back hungry, motivated, and I think they're just the better team talent-wise on paper.
I love it. Thanks for giving me time this morning. Enjoy that piece. Maybe head back to the hotel. Enjoy that sound machine for an extra hour or two while you can get it. And,
don't tempt me.
And excited to hear you down the line from SoFi tonight, man. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Nordo. Have a good one.
Thank you. That's Ben Leber, brought to you weekly, Maple Grove Lock and Safe, sideline analyst, Vikings Radio Network, and he's out in L.A. with the guys, ready to watch. And I love that. I hope he's the soothsayer through the soothing sounds of said machine and hotel room. The soothsayer that it's a 2-touchdown win, and it never really feels out of control. I would love that. Let's pause, get ahead of it, and when we return, another team. I'd love to see them stake a 2-touchdown lead in a different sport on the hardwood tonight at Sacramento. Doesn't feel like it's going to be that easy, but the Wolves are out west as well, and they're taking on the Kings and Sabonis and DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox. Oh, my. We're going to chat about that, and then Pete Bursich will jump back to the Purple around 11:35. It's 9 to noon on the Fan.